Hey there, welcome to Cheating Storytelling. I'm pumped to dive into today's tale. My name's Troy, and for the longest time in my marriage, I figured I had it pretty sweet. I wasn't clueless or anything. I just chose to see it that way on purpose. Trust was my thing, you know? I liked giving people room to breathe. I never felt the urge to snoop through phones or pin down someone's every move. To me, real love didn't need a GPS or a security camera. Cynthia and I had been a team for 9 years, hitched for 6 of those. She was this sharp, self-reliant woman, worked in marketing, always zipping around. Folks gravitated toward her naturally. She had this magnetic vibe that turned heads, and she totally knew how to work it. Honestly, I didn't care much about that. Jealousy? Never my style. It always struck me as kind of pathetic. But then, little by little, things started shifting. Nothing huge at first, just tiny cracks in the foundation. Cynthia got gutsier with her decisions, more carefree maybe. She'd head out to these networking events and roll back home at, 3 a.m. Her excuses were always fuzzy, stuff like, oh, it dragged on, or you wouldn't get how these things are. I'd try to ask a question or two, but she'd wave me off with this smooth, polished brush-off. She had a knack for flipping it around, making me feel like I was the one overreacting. I'd let it slide, time after time. What else could I do? But then Greg showed up. She dropped his name one night while we were messing around in the kitchen, fixing dinner. Said he was some old pal helping out with a product launch. No big deal, she tossed out, chopping onions like it was nothing. I stirred the sauce and asked, what kind of friend? She didn't even flinch. My ex-husband. I stopped dead, spoon hovering midair. My ex-husband? She just laughed, all breezy, and said, chill out, Troy, it was ages ago. We're just buddies now. He's got this creative agency, and one of the clients looped his crew in. You're not gonna make this a whole drama, are you? I didn't. Maybe I should have, but I didn't. Back then, I still bought into this idea that love, real love, could shrug off a little baggage from the past. Greg was just a name to me, a faint ripple from way back when. I convinced myself I wasn't the type to get shaken up over old ghosts. Big mistake. Turns out, I wasn't dealing with some faded memory. I was up against something real, something brewing, and it was about to smack me right in the face with how clueless I'd been. For months after Cynthia linked up with Greg again, his name started popping up more. Over breakfast, she'd say, Greg's team is tackling the branding for this project. Later, while texting, she'd mention, Greg wants my input on this campaign he's working. Then it was, Greg cracked me up today with something he said. You see where this is going. At first, I kept my cool, nodded, sipped my coffee, said, cool, that's awesome. But the way she said his name started gnawing at me. It felt like she was testing me, watching to see how I'd take it, like she was dangling it out there on purpose. One night, we were sprawled on the couch, TV humming in the background. She was glued to her phone, giggling at some text. I peeked over and asked, who's that? She tilted the screen just out of view. Oh, just Greg. He's being a goof. I hit pause on the remote. So, you guys chat outside work now? She shot me this look, half teasing, half playing innocent. It's just texting, Troy. Relax already. I wanted to dig deeper, but I held back. Later, after she'd crashed for the night, I sat at the kitchen table, staring into space. Anger hadn't hit me yet, but I could feel something building, a boundary taking shape. I was starting to see the direction this was headed. Then, 10 days later, she laid it out plain as day. We were washing dishes when she tossed it out like it was no big thing. Greg's inviting a few of us to his lake house next weekend. Just a little team getaway, some friends, drinks, nothing wild. I shut off the faucet and grabbed a towel. You're going. She shrugged, casual as ever. Yeah, I mean, it's part work, part chill time. I haven't had a real break in forever. Don't I deserve that? I locked eyes with her for a second. You're seriously heading to your ex-husband's place for a whole weekend? She didn't even hesitate. It's not just me and him, Troy. It's a group thing. Work-related. I squinted at her. You could have said no. You didn't have to jump at it. She rolled her eyes like I was being ridiculous. Why would I skip it? We're grown-ups. Nothing's gonna happen. Greg and I are just friends. I let out a slow breath. You keep saying that, but it doesn't feel like just friends. You're always talking to him. Your whole face lights up when his name comes up. You don't even notice it. She froze for a beat, plate still in her hand. You're reading way too much into this. I haven't done anything shady. Not yet. I shot back. But you're testing the waters. You're seeing how much I'll take before I finally put my foot down. She tilted her head, sizing me up. So, what? You're putting it down now? I nodded, steady and calm. Yeah. If you go, I said, stacking the last plate, don't bother coming back. She turned, dish still dripping in her grip. Hold up. Are you for real? I didn't yell, didn't waver. Dead serious. She flashed that smirky little scoff, the one she pulled when she thought I was overreacting. Troy, don't be so extra. This isn't some teenage soap opera. I set the plate down firm. No, it's a marriage. And right now, you're steering it straight off a cliff. Cynthia stood there, eyeing me hard, trying to suss out if I was bluffing or if she could smooth talk her way out of this one like always. Nope, not this time. And for once, I saw it hit her. She didn't think I'd actually follow through. That much was crystal clear. The morning she was set to leave, she floated around the house like everything was normal. Humming a little tune, she packed her bag with care, picking out clothes like it was some big occasion, taking her sweet time with her makeup. Every so often, she'd sneak a glance my way, probably expecting me to pipe up, maybe start a fight or beg her to stay. But I didn't bite. I just parked myself at the dining table, sipping my coffee, scrolling through my phone, cool as a cucumber, like I wasn't even fazed. At one point, she leaned against the doorframe and tossed out, "So, you're really gonna torch our whole marriage over a quick weekend getaway?" I didn't even lift my eyes from the screen. "If you step out that door, we're finished." She folded her arms, smirking a little. "You're blowing this way out of proportion. It's just a couple days, nothing major." I got up, brushed past her, and swung the front door wide open. She stared at me, stunned. "Wow, so that's how it is?" "Yeah," I said, "that's how it is." There was this long, heavy pause before she grabbed her suitcase and rolled it toward the door. She pecked me on the cheek, like I was some kid she was humoring, and said, "You'll calm down soon enough," then stepped outside. I watched her chuck her bag into an Uber's back seat and hop in without a backward glance. The second that car vanished down the street, I grabbed my phone and dialed a locksmith. He rolled up within an hour, and while he tinkered with the locks, I got to work packing up her stuff. Not in a rage or anything, just steady and deliberate. Her shirts, her shoes, her books, her makeup, all of it went into boxes, every little piece of her I could find. I wasn't leaving her any excuse to waltz back in. I shipped those boxes off to her sister Veronica's place. Cynthia wouldn't dare go to her parents. They'd grill her with too many questions. Veronica, though? She'd just shrug and stay quiet. Before the day was out, I rang up my lawyer. I want a divorce. I told him plain and simple. This wasn't about payback or hoping she'd crawl back teary-eyed. I just wanted calm in my life again, and I was ready to do whatever it took to grab it. Turns out, Cynthia cut her trip short. I'd figured she'd be gone till Sunday night, but Saturday afternoon, my phone pinged while I was stuck in a work call at the office. I glanced down, security cam alert from the porch. There she was, suitcase in tow, standing right outside. I muttered an excuse to my coworker and slipped into the hallway to check the feed. She twisted the doorknob once, twice, then a third time, her face shifting from puzzled to ticked off. She scanned the house like it had morphed into something unfamiliar overnight. I saw her fish out her phone, and a heartbeat later, mine buzzed. I picked up. "Troy," she said, her voice all wound up. "The door's not opening." I kept it steady. I changed the locks. Dead air. "What?" "I told you," I said, "if you went, don't come back." She let out the shaky little laugh. "This is nuts, Troy. Can we just talk this out?" "Nothing to discuss. Your stuff's at Veronica's. Papers will be served next week." Hold on. Are you seriously divorcing me?" "Yeah." She went quiet. I could hear her breathing, quick and uneven. Then her tone dipped low. "Can't we just step inside and hash this out?" "I didn't even stay the whole weekend. I bailed early." "That was your call," I said. "Just like going in the first place was." I hung up. She tried again, 5 more calls, all buzzing away unanswered. Then the text rolled in. "This is a massive mistake. You're trashing everything over a trip. You're being immature." I didn't type a word back. The next camera alert showed her plopped on the front steps, elbows propped on her knees, phone clutched tight. She looked like someone who'd just figured out they weren't calling the shots anymore. For the first time in forever, I felt steady, not mad, not smug, just done. She eventually peeled herself off the steps and left. That night, I silenced my phone. I wasn't in the mood for whatever meltdown she was cooking up. I'd already moved on from whatever excuse she'd try to spin. But sometime past midnight, a notification popped up, a voicemail. I stared at it for a while, my thumb hovering over the play button, then tapped it. Her voice spilled out, rough and low. like she'd been sobbing for hours. Troy, please, just hear me out. I don't know how else to put this. I screwed up. You were right about Greg. He wasn't just being nice. Sure, he invited a bunch of people, but it was me he was after. I see that now. I was dumb. I thought I had it all under control. Her voice broke, and I heard rustling, like she was pacing the porch again. He waited till I'd had a few drinks, then got me alone to talk. I shouldn't have hung out with him after everyone else crashed. I didn't mean for it to happen, I swear. A long pause stretched out, then her tone sank even lower. He recorded something caught me on video. I didn't even know until the next morning when he showed me. Said he'd keep it quiet unless I told you. Here's the reworked version of your final part, tailored to your guidelines. I've kept the meaning and details intact, reshuffled the sentence structures, used varied vocabulary, expanded for depth, and maintained a conversational, first-person tone that's natural and YouTube-friendly for an AI voiceover. I stood in my kitchen, frozen, as her voicemail played out, Cynthia's voice crumbling while she spilled the truth. He's blackmailing me, she said, and I could hear her falling apart. She went on about how Greg knew their little game was done, how he'd stopped picking up her calls. I'm terrified, Troy, she choked out. I didn't want this to happen. I didn't see it coming. Then she lost it completely, sobs crashing into jumbled words. Please don't abandon me like this. I messed up, I know, but I need you right now. Come outside, please. The message cut off. I glanced at the front door, then peeked out the window. Sure enough, there she was again, pacing the porch, gripping her phone like it was her last lifeline. But I didn't budge. Instead, I grabbed my phone, opened our text thread, and tapped out a single line. You picked your path, deal with it now. Then I blocked her number, turned off the lights, and climbed into bed. Sunday rolled by in total quiet. I'd already cut her off everywhere, phone, email, social media, the works. Monday morning, I strolled into work like it was any other day, fresh shirt, coffee in hand, head clear. By lunchtime, my lawyer emailed me. The divorce papers were set. I signed them right then and sent them back, no hesitation. By Tuesday, the ripples started hitting. Cynthia's sister, Veronica, shot me a text. She's a wreck. You should at least talk to her. I didn't bother responding. A handful of her friends, people we used to know together, tried reaching out too, with weak little messages like, she slipped up, sure, but don't toss a whole marriage over one dumb move. One even had the guts to say, if you really cared about her, you'd listen to her side. I skimmed the first lines and trashed every single one. No point in reading further. They weren't there when I laid out my warnings, when I put up with her games. They had no clue how long I'd been quietly picking up the pieces she left behind. Cynthia ended up at her parents' place after Veronica told her she couldn't crash with her forever. Her dad's this stern, old-school guy, never liked her cozying up to Greg, even back when they were married. Word got around that he was livid about what she'd pulled. She tried telling them I flipped out over nothing, that it was just a harmless trip. But then her mom called me a few days later, her voice soft and steady. Troy, I'm not here to patch things up, she said. I just wanted you to know we get it. You didn't deserve any of this. We're sorry. I thanked her, kept it short, and that was that. As for Greg, the second he realized Cynthia might spill to the cops, he vanished. Deleted his profiles, quit his job, turned into a ghost, poof, gone. She'd gambled everything on a guy who bolted the minute the heat turned up. Meanwhile, I kept my head down and moved on. It's been close to a year now. Every so often, folks, friends, coworkers, people who only caught bits of the story, still ask, hey, what went down with you and Cynthia? I just shrug and say, it didn't work out, then drop it. I don't need to hash it out for anyone. I lived it, and that's enough. The divorce sailed through smooth, no messy court battles, no drawn-out nonsense. She signed the papers without a peep. Maybe she'd known it was over the second she left, or maybe it sank in when she jiggled that locked doorknob and got nothing. There wasn't some big showdown, no magic apology to stitch it back together. She crossed the line I'd drawn. I told her what had happened, and I stuck to it. That's what threw her the most, I think, not the silence or the split, but the fact that I didn't waver. I didn't fight or plead or give her the drama she was used to. I just walked away. She kept trying for a while after that, new numbers, random emails, all singing the same tune. I didn't mean for this to happen. You were right all along. Let me explain, please. I never answered. I wasn't chasing closure or hoping she'd hurt. And I definitely didn't need some teary last-second confession to sort it out in my head. The day she walked out, knowing full well what I'd said, Knowing what it had cost, she handed me all I needed to let go. People sometimes ask if I'd ever take her back. Nope. Not because I'm bitter, but because I finally value myself in a way I didn't before. I gave her space. I gave her time. I gave her every shot to step up. And she handed it all to Greg, a guy who dished her the second it got tough. I didn't yell or make a scene. I got wise instead. That's what changed everything. Thanks for sticking with me through this story.